reality, breaking down all my fantasies. It would be nice if I at least had one fantasy. That neutrality about to take a terabyte from the American apple pie, better get a slice. It's kinda scary the way that this life is moving on. Marvin's doing backflips inside his grave, what's going on? We have head-on collisions, not seeing another's vision. Maybe that's the reason why some colors fit the description. A lot of relationships need life rafts, sinking ships. I guess you just can't have only one like potato chips. I would love for you to listen with an open heart, but would you really even hear me if it's torn apart? I don't do the things that I used to. I'll be fine even if I lose you, okay? Okay.
Peace and blessings, family. This is your brother, Asar Imhotep. And this is the, I don't know if he has an official name for his channel, but this is an open discussion after party edition of Brother Wudjau's channel. He just had a good conversation with a number of people in the community on various different topics, but it started off on the face of the Egyptians in terms of phenotype and the like, and then it just kind of went on from there. And so Brother Wudjau had to wake up early, to handle his life business. And so there's people who wanted to keep the conversation going. And so this is why we are here right now, the after party edition. And so this is an open discussion. So in the chat currently right now, more so on the Asar Imhotep Facebook page and on the YouTube page, you will see the StreamYard link to join the panel. And so if you would like to come in and have a conversation with us, please click the link. Don't be shy. And, we will just keep the party going. And so on the panel right now, we got a real good brother. Y'all should know him from many different dimensions in time and space. We call him Brother Smash Rockwell, aka the Magi, is in the building. How you doing, good brother?
Peace. What's up, Magi? Archers in the building.
Already. Yeah, man. It is a pleasure to have you here with us, and hopefully we'll have some more people join the conversation. And for those who may be joining a little later, I do have the link pinned to the top. So, just go to the top if you want to join the conversation. But yeah, so I had to go in and out of Brother Wudjau's conversation, so I didn't catch everything they were talking about. But what were you able to catch, and what did you want to say about the conversation that was being had?
Well, actually, I probably caught just as much as you. I was coming in at the tail end of it, but I can speak towards the overall argument or conversation that's been. And I also want to, I kind of like know your stance on it, but I kind of want to hear from your own mouth about that Richard Lepsis facsimile of the tomb of Ramses III, where we find something figuratively looking like Nubians, but represented and called Egyptians or Remich in that instance. And I know you've heard I don't know if you've been following the complete argument since I made this one post. And Chief X said I used the Photoshop and then recanted and changed it all up. Have you been following this latest episode?
Yeah, only because I don't watch Chief X's channel. I won't give him no views. But But based upon what Wudjau was saying, it's not surprising. And plus I think Wudjau played some of the clips from that conversation. So I did catch some of that. So of course he's just wrong in all kinds of ways in which you can be wrong on anything ever in life.
Yeah, for real.
Regarding the subject matter. So he didn't know much of anything.
Embarrassingly wrong, and almost, and now that it's public and you're on YouTube, I wonder if I ever found myself. I mean, all you can do is just say I'm wrong at this point. You know what I'm saying? And pushing the envelope further is just like crazy. But I guess this is what happens when we trust our microwave scholarship and quick sources, I call them. You know what I'm saying? Oh, that's a quick source. Like, oh, you just reading that right now. You know what I mean? And we wonder how this will betray us sometimes, and we don't think it ever will. Like Google won't betray you. But when it comes to some highly specialized topics like these, I often warn people like, dude, everything you're not about to understand it hella quick. This is why to get a small degree in something like this take like 4 years, because it takes so long to explain certain things that we're trying to discuss. And Wudjau did a very good job in the last 3 or 4 days explaining some of the things I didn't even really have time to. Before I seen his first breakdown on the rimage, I was about to start putting together some notes, and it wouldn't have been as timely at all. So I'm glad he stepped forward and did what he did.
What I'm about to show now is ironic because my last trip to Egypt included a trip to the Theban tombs, right? And so here, what you see is my photograph that I took. I had the gorilla take the shot, because in Egypt, certain tombs and places, they don't allow for photos unless you have a lot of baksheesh is what they call it, bribe money that you can pay one of the guards to help you or turn a blind eye while you take a quick set of pictures. But in this tomb, it's a big tomb, so even when you get this snapshot, is not representative of the tomb itself. But this is my photo that I took with my phone of that part of the wall. It's behind a glass, so that's why you kind of see a glare right here. I don't know if y'all can see that. Hold on one second. Let me add whoever's in here. All right. So if you see this glare here, that's again because it's a glass here, but this is the photo, and you can see, for those who read Meta Nature, this is the R and the palatalized K, which we call ch. The short form of the word remetch, with the seated man and then the seated woman, and then on this side you would see the plural strokes or whatnot. But this is 3 of the 4, and here's the further left for that same image. So you see here, and then here's another variation of it. But it is real, it exists, and anyone saying it is fake ain't been to Egypt and been to this particular tomb. I've witnessed it myself, and you are seeing my primary documentation of that particular image or whatnot. And so there's better photos, of course, of people who had baksheesh money that they could take a good image of it. But I at least have this that you can see that it is in there. And so otherwise I'd have took a better photo with my camera, but and I think back then I had this old ranky dank phone, and so it just doesn't come as clear. So I had to do gorilla guerrilla photography, you know, sometimes while I was there in Egypt.
Yeah, that is, and so I guess you wouldn't even have to. Well, really, I had not done the knowledge. I know and understand, and I understand the reading of Rimage, and I understand that it was Rimage, but I just presumed for some reason that the rim in the Rimage, even though I have seen instances, for some reason I've seen an instance with it spelled. Maybe I perused enough dictionaries, but I've seen it spelled with the Albert or with the M bird, but until I heard Wudjau give the actual read from the book on the actual breakdown on that, I still was like, oh, I was really like, oh, okay, family. You know, that's what I was feeling when he was breaking that down. And so I'm pretty sure you was familiar with that because you go a little deeper than I on some of those type of studies. But every time I seen it spelled, or you know, the way that it's spelled in the photograph you was just showing, I was kind of curious.
Yeah, this is all right. So I'm currently working on a journal article on the etymology of the word remech. And so one of my source material is this article here, the remarks on the orthography of word remech in the Old Kingdom, right? So one of the things that Wudjau noted is that it was really in the New Kingdom that you clearly see this distinction or the word remech being used for Egyptians to reference the Egyptians themselves. And so, this citation won't necessarily have that because it's strictly focused on the Old Kingdom. But it's in the Old Kingdom in the pyramid text that you will see these different variations. So what's good about this article is that it provides you, basically a facsimile of the variations of the word remech, and you can see in the Old Kingdom, and these are the different pyramids in which you can find these variations of the word. And he lists the name of the pyramid. So like the M over here is for Marin Ray, and then of course Pepi, the second. It says Abba and Neat. I guess that's going to be in a different table. Oh no, so Neat is right here. And then I think this is Unis or Winnis right here. And I forgot who T is for. Who am I? Teti, I think it's Teti. So these are the different pyramids, and then these are the locations in the pyramid text that you can find them. So you can see even on here that is spelled, phonetically, if we can say that, the RM cheese. So it looks like, in later periods, it just kind of primarily was spelled with just the R and the ch, or the capital T for those who transliterate or know the transliteration system. And you even see some different type of determinatives, at the end. But for someone to kind of make that mistake and not knowing that the remech, that this is a reductionist form of the word, um and like Chief X was doing, it just shows that he doesn't study this stuff, and he didn't even bother to investigate. He just wanted to look at something that was Googleable. And in this text, you can find the title, but you're not going to find this article anywhere. I had to pay for this article and download it from the publisher. It's a journal article, and sometimes, if for certain information, you're going to have to pay. That's not going to be given to you freely, in these internet streets. And so so it just gives you all the details of where you can find these terms. And so it's an excellent article. and it gives you the different types of determinatives and, further commentary, thus far. Anything else you want to add?
No, that's from the journal. Where what?
This
What,
is what is this? Crap, now I forgot. I know the Grutter is the publisher, and so let me. What is the Zeitschrift for Egypt? It's a it's a this is the journal. It's a German journal. So Zeitschrift for Egyptische Sprach Altenmünskun. Whoever can read German, y'all correct me on my pronunciation, but that's the journal. That's what I mean. Like, you're not going to find certain stuff if you don't even know where to look.
Yeah.
Usually you'll just see this reduced to ZAS in like when people abbreviate it. But that's the journal here. So you can see the price tag here, 42. But yeah, so I'll stop sharing my screen.
Yeah. Oh, somebody.
So we have due diligence in the building. Peace and blessings. Welcome to the Mbongi. And what's on your mind?
Peace. No, I was just listening in because I'm not familiar with the breakdown either, so I'm just learning.
Yeah, all right, no doubt. Let me see. Hold on one sec. Let me see who's in this mug so I can acknowledge them. Let me go scroll all the way. So peace and blessings. Thank you, Brother Sean. Calfani in the place to be. Brother Chavez in the place to be. Sister Tamika is in the place to be. And thank you once again for reminding everyone to please thumb up the video and subscribe if you are new to this particular channel. We got Brother Unc Benu in the building, and it was his tour that I was on when I took that photo that I showed earlier for the Ku Kim Kemet tour. So I know he's doing another one. So, drop the link, in the chat, and I'll make sure that I highlight it so people can, join you on this upcoming tour if it's not too late, or just, kind of schedule for next year if they can't make it this year. So check out Brother Unc Benu. And we got Boom in the building, dropping bombs and making noise. Thank you for joining the conversation. Zane Montego is in the building. Hotep to you. And Lamar Pope is in the building. Pure Black is in the building. Vernon King is in the building. Medics 82 is in the building. Travel Light is in the building. African World is in the building. Natron Means is in the building. He says Hawass up to his old tricks. I see no cameras, huh? It's not Hawass. It's the entire Egyptian economy. So what they want to do is protect. Basically, they're looking out for the locals. So, if, how should I say, they take photos and they sell them to tourists. So if all the tourists come and take photos of these very important places, there's some that you can take photos and videos in, and then there's other ones that they don't. So they kind of look at and see which ones that everybody is wanting to look at, and they'll close those off. And what they'll do is they'll sell to you, photographs of the temple or the tomb or whatnot as part of, the tourist industry. So that's really all they do. It has nothing to do with Hawass. It's just that they're trying to, get their local people paid. And so the local folks, sell you all kinds of different trinkets and photographs and stuff like that. So they're just trying to protect their economy. and whatnot. But yeah, so it's a thing. So if you got money like that, where you can get certain things closed off, then they give you full access. But usually you got to have some good backsheesh money,
Hey,
to make that happen. I'm sorry. Go
excuse
ahead.
me, sorry.
Yeah,
I got a question.
go ahead.
It's kind of off topic, but I just want to throw something out there to both you fellas. And I
Mhm.
just want to say, I've caught a few of your shows, Asar, and I appreciate your work. And I've been on Jonathan's channel, and I appreciate what he does also.
Mhm.
And I was just wondering, like, although I love history, you know what I'm saying, I love the history. Um, I would appreciate it if sometimes if we can have some discussions about like technology too, like real technology and science. I feel like we're in like a modern day renaissance, and it would be beneficial for the community for us to start talking about some of this, beautiful technology coming up, supercomputers and nanotechnology, CRISPR, all this type of stuff. Like, I'm ready for those conversations too. Although, I don't want to stop the history combos too. And Jonathan over there, he's been introducing the crypto, and I appreciate it. He's been putting me up on game on that. Also with the meta and stuff like that, I'm not familiar with a lot of this, and I would like to know you brothers like look on it and where the future is headed, and can we start
Mhm.
having some of these conversations to get progressive with it a little bit?
Well, I guess I could go first. On my channel, the specific with the technology stuff is coming, but I also have conversations about just science in general, and I interview scientists. So I've had a number of computer scientists on the program. We just had a brother on, brother Faladay, who is in engineering, and so we're talking about the field. And so I am 1/4 of a member who started October as Black Science Month. And we have a whole Facebook channel, and we also have a YouTube channel, which I'm just getting now to start populating that. But it is focused on blacks in science and trying to get more Africans into the sciences. And so this channel actually here, it kind of started off more so on entertainment. And a lot of folks may not realize this, but I used to tour the country doing spoken word poetry and the like, and I even used to produce real heavy back in the day. And so this was just a dumping ground for some of those just old videos. So I've had this channel for like damn near what, 15, 16. When did Facebook, I think this started what, 2005 or 2006, YouTube. So I've had it since you can only upload 10, 15-minute videos. So I never imagined that it would be what it is now. And only because of the pandemic that I really started uh putting more videos and having conversations. And but of course a lot of it centers around history, language, culture, and the like. And so at least for this channel, it's kind of multifaceted. And one of the things that we're going to get into is because I'm also back in school for computer science, and so I'm just getting some updated information about things. And matter of fact, I'm learning, not as a part of my schooling, but I was introduced to it there and decided I'm going to kind of parallel my studies in terms of quantum computing.
Yeah,
And and so I want to get, before I introduce at least my take on that, get more familiar with it. So it's in the works for me. I'm only one person, but the goal as well for this channel is that I'm going to also start having co-hosts and just different hosts to kind of handle certain other things. Because with me writing books and in school and trying to do everything else, you know, I just don't have the kind of time that I would need to kind of hit everything that I would like. But yeah, that's a good idea, and we try to, you know, kind of balance it out, you know.
Yeah.
But lately in these internet streets, they've been trying to test Black folks and scholarship like we ain't got that homework, and
Right.
so you know, it is what it is. But I'm sorry, but brother Magi, if you want to respond.
Oh, that was a good response. And did you say the name of that other channel you was talking about?
It's just Black Science Month.
Oh, okay, yeah. No, I don't have any problem talking about science, and I love those conversations. I even love having conversations about all type of arcane topics, but you go to certain places for certain things. I never came to SAR channel for that. I always come here for African centered, you know what I mean, teachings, grammar, linguistics, and so to speak. And like I said, it's when you specialize in something, you know what I mean, it's hard to like cover so many fields and still be the person people need to come listen to. And so with me, I mean, even on my page, I'm if you follow me professionally, I go by casual, but there's no pun intended in that. And it's like, you know, it is what it is, so to speak, as far as what I do. What I mean by that is I do follow business plans and I follow some social media models as to how I should run my page. And I'm not saying you present one. I'm just saying you just saying what you want to hear people talking about. I'm just saying that sometimes I don't even feel like the most qualified to be the hosting science discussions on my personal channel. But that's just my take. But I love them. I follow them. I'm even a TED Talks person. And well, like I said, you know, when I come here, I'm often looking for grammarian type stuff. Is that Sonetta?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. This is Sonetta. I'm here with two of my favorite scholars in the building, Asar, and of course the Magi. I mean, I've been hearing it through the sound waves, and I said, let me click on to this joint. That's why I got up.
Already.
Two of my favorite
I gotta
scholars
look
right
real
there.
quick. I thought Asar had a fake video of you right now. Like I had to look for real.
Nah,
What's up, Sar?
Everything good, brother. I heard you. I'm like, oh man, my man. You know, I haven't checked the joint that you set up for me yet. I gotta go back and check that.
Oh yeah, it ain't nothing to worry about right now, but I'll let you know when it's shaking. But we can talk about it one time. I need to come see you sometime soon.
Yeah, you were supposed to come back, remember?
Whenever we can, it's all good.
Yeah. But yeah, I'm here to ask Asar, the people is hungry. We need some science, brother. And I would love to do an interview with you tomorrow if you got time, if you're free.
Yeah, I'm free. Just let me know what time is best for you.
No, what time is best for you? Because you know
I'm
me,
free. I'm doing nothing but writing for my latest book on tomorrow. That's
6
all I
o'clock
got.
is good tomorrow?
I'm sorry?
6 o'clock.
Eastern time? Yeah, that's good.
My man, I'm gonna look for you at 6 o'clock.
No doubt, no doubt.
All right, I'm gonna finish listening to y'all brothers. Go ahead, man.
All right, no doubt, no doubt. Well, first and foremost, just want to continue shouting out people in the chat. And so, peace and blessings of Sharp Spear, says the Honorable Martin Delaney proved Egyptians were Black using the Bible. He wasn't the first. Yeah, and check out the Diop is one who also utilized the Bible as well to reinforce the notion that the ancient Egyptians were Black. So I don't know, Sa, if you've been keeping up, but there's a whole bunch of Arabized Egyptians who keep trying to flood the internet and the waves, trying to attack African scholars. So Dr. Ben, John Henry Clark, and just even some of the new scholars, or I should say newer scholars, and trying to reinforce this notion that the people who are the the ancient Egyptians, excuse me, that the people who you see now as the face of Egypt are the, you know, I guess the descendants of the ancient Egyptians, and that, you know, these black Afrocentrics are trying to steal our history.
Yeah,
And
but Asar, I'm
go
quite
ahead.
sure you know that this is nothing new. It's just starting to come back again because you know they got a whole new generation of young Arabs that's coming up again. But this has always been going on. This fight have always been trying to deny us our proper history. This is why they had to do what they did pertaining to the conference that supposed to be coming up.
Yep.
But I'm so happy that you brothers are still at least going out there. You still going out there, right?
Correct. Yeah. We're
And
still
that's what I'm
going.
talking about. So they always have been trying to shut this thing down, you know?
Indeed. So yeah, so that's kind of what sparked the conversation. So we're just continuing a conversation from another channel talking about the face of the ancient Egyptians and what they look like. And so I see we got formerly known as Unc, Bobby Banger from Baltimore in the building.
What's up, Asal? What's up, Smash Rockwells? What's up? What's up, Sal Netta?
What's going on? What's happening, brother?
How the hell is going on in here, man? Y'all having a serious party right now. My favorite dudes, man. Smash, the greatest Sal, and that damn Sal Netta in the damn mix. It's gonna be something.
Indeed.
Man. Yeah,
So
I appreciate you, Sal. My money is on you and Smash and Wudjau, man, when it comes to this conversation, man. We fully loaded, right? I got all the archaeology, the whole 9 yards, man. Hopefully in about 6 months, right, I should have my second book coming out. It's a testament to just following real scholars around, man, and really just knowing how it's done, man. So I always appreciate your work. We might get into it, but we supposed to, because that's what it is, man. And the hell with the goddamn Chief X corny ass. Like you said, hanging out with everybody's fake Muslim Egyptians. How the hell you gonna be an Egyptian and a fucking Muslim at the same time? I will never know. So they don't even practice the culture, yo.
At all.
And put some respect on Diops, Theophile Benga, Dr. Benedum, because they coined the phrase Nile Valley. And Asar and Smash, y'all know, the university level now, that they're using the next generation is up in Egyptology. They're fighting to use that word, Nile Valley.
Hey, let me ask you, brother. How old is Theophilo Benga? Because I was hoping to really meet him, man. Until this whole thing broke.
Why you cut me off, son, Netta?
Oh, you know I always cut you off.
That's bullshit. You ain't even on your own channel and cut me off.
I always cut you off.
Nonsense, yo.
You know that. I always cut it.
Lord.
Go ahead. My bad, brother.
Nah, go ahead, man.
I think he's in his 80s.
Oh, okay. Because that's what I was thinking about. I wanted to interview him before this whole thing broke apart with you know, this whole tour thing going on in
He's
Kimberly.
86 years old. Almost 90.
Man. Okay.
So when y'all going back or something? So what happened? I thought y'all was still going, but you just want to go do the conference. What happened?
Yeah, they still
that was the intent. But behind the scenes, there was certain of our elders
who figured it out,
who were concerned. And so this is what people got to understand.
Mm-hmm.
The people who were going just on the trip, really, they had nothing to worry about because they didn't know they were coming. It's us, the people who were on the panel in the conference, who were allegedly getting these threats. Now, I didn't get any personal threats, so I can't speak for myself as far as that. But allegedly, Anthony Browder and I believe who else? I know like Dr. Solange Ashby, they were kept spamming and flooding her page. And then of course on the Hoppy page, there was getting a lot of spam and flooding. So allegedly, they were getting all kinds of threats, and they were threatening to, shut his excavation down. And so, when we were all having a conversation, everybody that was going, it was there was just there was a lot of us who were just like, F it, we want to go. We still ride or die. We going. We ain't scared of these mofos. But then there's others who's like, understandably, they got their kids coming, they bring in their parents, and or they bring in their grandchildren, and they don't want any kind of thing to happen. So what ended up happening is, first it was the cancellation of the event, and really there was no initial cancellation. What happened is, and this is what I think what happened, because when I talked to Brother Taki, one of those Arabized Russian bots created a flyer that said it was canceled. And Brother Anthony Browder found the flyer and started posting it, but the event wasn't canceled. And everybody on the ground saying that they didn't have to cancel the event. But Brother Browder already put out there that the event was canceled. And so Taki was put in a situation, getting all of this mixed information that, at last minute, he decided to cancel the conference. So the conference was then canceled, but the initial announcement of the canceling of the conference was based on misinformation and somebody putting out a fake flyer, and Brother Anthony Browder spreading the flyer around. so then again, the concern, yeah. So then again, the concern was, some of the elders like Dr. Wade Nobles, because remember, Dr. Wade Nobles was going to have his wife, and his wife is in a wheelchair. So if something was to go down, what I'm saying, like they can't, they're kind of up there in age. They can't really, I'm down for the fight, but we got our elders in place. So so now what is happening is Brother Taki is just, kind of, because when you have the tour in place, you got hotels reserved, we got travel and all of this has to be established and reorganized. And now, depending on what time, because people plan these things so far in advance that you got to get in where you fit in. So right now what he's trying to do is just find the appropriate time. And so, but the conference itself is still going to happen. It's just going to happen in the United States. And
so
go ahead.
So I kind of blame you and the younger guys because y'all used to the internet, man. At the end of the day, man, you United States citizens, man. They not going to, man, come on, man. They not going to attack a whole bunch of American citizens in Egypt, mess up the whole tourist industry just because a couple non-professionals, non-anthropologists, Chief X type dudes decide to act like who Egyptian is or they not. They on Cairo, the universities don't even say that over there. It was a fake threat. We've all been threatened. Sarnetta been threatened. I've been threatened. Man, that don't stop us from doing. That's not real. You'll be a bot, a crazy person, a keyboard karate. You know how we respond back. Come on, dude. Broader guy, stop that, man. Relax, sir.
But we tried to say that, so like even Brother Jabari and I, we in the meeting was like, look, we deal with this stuff every day, and then what happens, for example, you got to ask the question, okay, so you postpone it now, then you re-announce that we're coming and it's going again. So all they have to do is make a bunch of internet noise, and then you cancel the event again.
Right.
Like it's just that easy. And it can't be that way. You're just gonna have to stand your ground. And so, and of course they were attacking all the folks who aren't internet savvy like that. On my page, they know they got to come with some information. So they didn't come for me strong. Right. They know better. But on their page they panic. So Dr. Solange Ashby, she's not from these internet streets, so she shut down her whole page and all this other kind of stuff.
Oh man.
And then the
Yeah,
elders,
they've been after the elders and shit, man.
yeah, man. I mean, it's not, because you got to remember, like Wade Nobles and others coming from a time where these threats were real. Like
Right.
they're
Facts.
when you're talking about Dr. Leonard Jeffries and the kinds of threats he had to walk around with bulletproof vests, it's here in the States. So it's little that you can control and be aware of when you're overseas. And one of the things, I didn't want to say this to the people who were coming on the tour, but you are already going to be in danger regardless, because it's Egypt.
Excuse me, sir. Hey, can you put it on mute, brother? We hear you, man.
That ain't me. That's you, son. That's you in your background.
Exactly. So yeah, so you gotta understand that when you come to Egypt, it is is run by Arabs. It's called the Arab Republic of Egypt, and it's a military state. So when you go there, there's military checkpoints, every so many blocks. And like, 2 incidences happened when I was down there last. So right before we landed, probably like a day or so before, a Coptic church got bombed when we got there. And then when I came home from the last day and landed, my phone was blowing up. And so I'm hitting people back like, what's going on? Why, what's happening? They're checking on me because the news had come out that, the Egyptian government had shot a van full of tourists. And so what you got to understand is like the last time that I went was in 2015. This is when Libya was in all kind of chaos and stuff, and people were trying to smuggle weapons and all of this into Egypt via Libya. So, they have certain areas that you just can't go. Like if you don't have the proper paperwork, it's like if you try to fly over the White House, if you don't have authorization, they're going to shoot your plane down. And so these people, I guess they try to do some guerrilla, trying to go off into some other area. They couldn't identify themselves, and an Egyptian helicopter, shot the bus, shot the bus up. And so that was all over the news. And then you had a tourist. There was, I don't know what year this was. This wasn't any time close, but this was some time in the past where there was a gang of Japanese tourists who a suicide bomber came and blew up them. So like there's always a danger going into a place like this, but that's just kind of the risk you take. Going to, like if you was to go into Israel, like if you go visit Palestine, or if you go visit Afghanistan, like, or Iraq, like there's just a certain level of, you can expect anything to happen. Now, usually when you have a large tour, you automatically get security with you as an American tourist, and for situations and stuff like this, because it's just like Brother Sa said, they're trying to protect, that's their bread and butter in terms of the tourist industry. So they're going to put those extra measures there. So it's just kind of like, you want to be realistic with them and not sugarcoat anything in terms of the people, but you don't want to exaggerate either the dangers, the possible dangers, because it's just like one of those situations. Like when I hear about the United States from other people are scared to come here because all they keep hearing is these mass shootings, the violence, people try to take over the White House, and you live in here like, you know how to check the temperature if something is going wrong, in your space. And so, it's kind of is what do you do in a situation like that?
Man, when we gonna get this Chief X character out of here, man, with that corny information he trying to teach, man?
And you're in the United States. It's a free country, and so people can say as much stupid and ignorant stuff as they want. And you know, the thing is, the more attention you give him, the
I
more
know,
powerful he becomes.
I know.
The more shows you promote Chief X, the more powerful he becomes. And so that's why I ignore him. Because at a certain point, it's just like, yeah,
you're just an idiot.
At least like Zion Lex, he tried to read some scholarship. He misinterpreted everything, but he tried. he put some effort. Chief X just don't read, don't do nothing.
Man, wow.
So I didn't catch the part where you came into the show on Brother Wudjau's channel,
right?
But if you can reemphasize, what it is that y'all were talking about then, and we can kind of continue that conversation if need be here.
I think we was talking about I think the point I wanted to emphasize that the scientific racism has actually reared its ugly head again. I call it race science, where they try to use science to prove certain things. So now they're trying to take mummies that's really mischaracterized, and in the actual report itself, it tells you this is definitely not indicative of the whole population. And they're trying to make DNA markers of race. That's ridiculous. And most people having the conversation don't even understand DNA. I know we've been talking about DNA for at least 10 years strong. We understand DNA and what it can do, the limits to it. And now you got people really applying that specifically online, non-professionals, applying the term race. So the race, we know that all started back in the 1700s, 1800s, where at the core of what Egyptology was, it was racist. Like Morton is actually in Egypt digging up skulls. He the dude that did the craniology, that nonsense, right? So you got people like Glendon, all right, and Knox. Okay, these fools is made the race, right? So Morton is reported to be the father of the scientific racism, and he's getting skulls from Egypt, telling you what the Egyptians are. Reisner. Okay, he's doing the same thing. He's finding, he's digging up Nubia. He's in the Sudan. He dig up Nubia, and he'd be like, "Oh my goodness, Egyptians!" Then he realized he look up in the sky, and that fake line they draw where the niggas supposedly are, right? He'd be like, "No, he's not Egyptian. They was colonized by the Egyptians. Egyptian brought them culture, made them slaves." But my point I want to make is that there are certain terms that are now problematic, like the Mediterranean. Or what did Breslin form? He formed the Oriental Institute, right? As if you study Egypt from the Orient, from Asia, and if you study Egypt from the Mediterranean, these things are problematic now. Using the word Egypt, problematic. Okay, no one was that's a later term applied. Nubians, that's an area. Nobody was called the C group, the A group. Like they made it all up. The borders, they made it. It was a figment of their imagination. And so when brothers try to come back with the real scholarship and fix it, all of a sudden we the racists, we trying to do this. No, we're not crying foul. All major universities clearly understand it was racism, and they're trying to fix it now based off available data, based off of understanding that race is a social construct, based off of the fact that the people that made the Nubians subservient to the Egyptians, that's ridiculous. It's not even true, right? So it's a deep study that the brother's been doing for a while that clearly shows you that Egyptians had propaganda. So you can have propaganda in your politics, but in the city, people are just fine. It's not even that. It's not even that type of riff, right? So we separate all these things, but the point I want to make very, very clear that most people don't know what the hell they talk about because they don't study Africa, period. Simple as that, bro. So the conversation was kind of there. And then, we went into that, I threw your post up there with the face, right? I was having fun. You know what I mean? Just to show people like there are all types of faces, of course, in Africa. And I like to finish with this. There is no one way to be African.
at
Right,
all.
right. And I think they've already said it. They said that the Egyptians are an indigenous culture. Simple as that. And the universities say that now. Like no one's running away from that. So I don't know, Saul. It's really not an uphill battle, but we need to change terms. And thanks to y'all brothers that can read the information, man. It's been real helpful.
Indeed. Yeah. I mean, that's something that we fight all the time. And you can tell, like for me, for instance, they'll try to, come at me thinking that, I'm one of these Google scholars, on the internet. But then when I hit them with something that they can't refute, I don't get that bombardment like certain other folks do. And they know that they can't come with us with the bull, because one, we can read the script. Two, we know where the source material is. But most important is number three, is that we have also the knowledge of just Africa and African cultures in general. So when you are making these, like, I'm trying to set up a debate with one of these guys, and I'm arguing that ancient Egypt stole African culture. Right now,
I already know how you do it, man. I got you.
If you're talking, Brother Sonetta, your mic is muted.
You saying ancient Egypt stole African culture? I know that's not what you believe in, right? That's not what you fighting.
I'm just saying, if you're saying that ancient Egypt, let me back up. So we've been hit with this argument from these Arabized Russian bots, and that is that the Egyptians are the Egyptians. They're not black, they're not white, they're Egyptian. So that's one.
Mm-hmm.
And two, that they have nothing to do with Africa. We have a source, Zahi Hawa, saying it has nothing to do with Africa whatsoever. Right? And there was no black folks involved in it. The Negroes only recently came into Egypt, and that was a result of slavery. Right. So this is their argument. And I have the citations of these folks making that argument. So I'm like, all right, cool. Let's say that you're 100% right. So now I'm going to make the argument that the ancient Egyptians stole African culture. Because, how did y'all, if y'all had nothing to do with Africa and nothing to do with Black Africans, how is it the hell that you got all of our concepts and motifs and all of this other kind of stuff in ancient Egypt? If you independently,
I see what you're saying,
outside of Africa itself, because you just took Egypt out of Africa. So so I'm agreeing that Egypt's not even in Africa. That that we're going to take Egypt out of Africa, and we're going to agree to all of what you say. So if y'all had nothing to do with Black African folks at all, you didn't interact with us, you didn't do, everything is homegrown, then it would be impossible for scholars to make any valid connections between ancient Egypt and quote unquote sub-Saharan Africa. And so if that is the case, then, now I charge y'all with stealing African culture. You stole Ma'at, you stole Amen, you stole Ra, you stole the leopard skin garments, you stole your name for yourself, the Remech. You stole the concept of pyramids, and you stole mummification. And the list goes on and on. So I'm charging them with theft and murder of my intellect, my brain cells, for making these dumbass arguments. I'm charging them with the whole lot. So I'm going to agree to everything that you say, not you personally on the panel, but I'm just saying I'm agreeing to everything that you say about ancient Egypt and that y'all ancient Egypt. So if that is the case, you would not find not one single correlation that can be established scientifically between ancient Egypt and the rest of sub-Saharan Africa. So that's the nature of the debate. Go ahead.
So don't leave out this part. They stole the whole kingship, because the first people that you see, the first leadership that you see wearing the white crown is in Castor, which is in the area called Nubia in Egypt. So the first people wearing that crown, the C group, is in Nubia. And you can also find a little bit farther on rock art, the royal procession, right, amongst people that they say was the niggas that was below that line, that mystical line they drew, right? That line right there. Right, to separate the great white race that was supposedly in the Sahara and the Mediterranean, that race right there, and then the Negroes, right? So I say the Negroes is the first Egyptians. They dress like Egyptians, they look like Egyptians. As a matter of fact, Reisner, he dug them up and was like, the Egyptians, and then he looked up and said, man, hold on, they below that line. Negroes ain't that smart. They was the slaves. It's the funniest thing ever, man. And then remember what Breslin said. Breslin said that the population, right, came from the South, because he the one that came up with the invading race theory, right?
Exactly.
Okay, but he said, but they invaded the great white black people, called them white black people, invaded from the South and brought the culture in from the South. Did he not say that? There you go. They said, I didn't make that up. He said that. He just made the people white. It's the most ridiculous shenanigans that is now promoted. It's the most ridiculous thing to see black people actually promote, right? The stereotypical racism, white supremacy, right? That was carried on, that Diops and them had to fight. It's the most craziest thing. I've never seen such before in my life. I'm just amazed when people sound like that. So I'm like, really? You sound like Reisner. You sound like Breasted. It's crazy.
See, what they don't understand is that we can get them no matter what the argument is.
Facts.
You know, I can agree with everything that you say, and you're still going to lose the debate. Matter of fact, so for example, here's going to be an example, right? So let me share my screen real quick. And so I'm going to Chrome tab. So this is Dr. Fletcher. So a white Egyptologist out of Europe. And let me know if y'all can see.
Excuse me, Asar.
Go ahead.
I'm just saying I'm out of here. Peace to all y'all.
All right,
brothers.
no doubt. Thank you for coming on, brother.
All right, Sarnetta.
Peace,
right.
peace, y'all.
Peace. So here is Dr. Fletcher, and she is going to be talking about I believe it's Nefertiti, right? And but peep what she says, and let me know if y'all can hear what she says. So let me blow it up here like that. And I forgot exactly what time it is. I just know it's at the beginning. So the whole thing is only 6 minutes, but we won't watch the whole thing. But let me continue. All right.
What we're actually looking at here is basically the Nubian wig, the Nubian hairstyle, which generally was only worn by royal women between around 1400 and 1300 BC.
Pictorial evidence shows Nefertiti wearing a wig exactly like this one.
So did you hear what she said?
Yeah, the Nubian wig. That's exactly what it was. Absolutely.
So this is what I mean by they over here still in African culture. So here we have Nefertiti. You see the depiction of her on the walls with the Nubian hairstyle. So not and it's said that it was associated with royal women. So the question that you have to ask is, how did Nubian hairstyle become associated with royalty in ancient Egypt? So much so that these quote unquote white Egyptians had to appropriate and borrow the style from the Nubians. You know, and even when you made wigs, why are all your wigs in the style of quote unquote Nubian hairstyles?
It makes no sense.
So this is what I mean. They keep stealing. So all the ancient Egyptians are just a bunch of thieves trying to steal African culture.
They steal the wig. They wear a whole bunch of white people wearing Nubian wigs.
Exactly. Just straight up misappropriating our culture and our style. This stuff still goes on to this day. And this is exactly what it is. So I'm charging all them with theft for stealing African culture and trying to claim it as theirs. See, now, if we have this debate publicly, they're going to have a hard time trying to argue the reverse. Because that's what they trying to say to us. We African Americans are stealing, you know, Egyptian culture. No, you are stealing African culture.
Facts.
Because all these things that give ancient Egypt its identity, we can find natively in all areas of quote unquote sub-Saharan Africa. And it would only make logical sense that the sub-Saharan Africans are the ones who migrated northeast and deposited themselves in their culture versus the other way around, since you already argued that the Egyptians had nothing to do with the Black Africans. If that is the case, then how do you explain it? How do you have, you know, a quote unquote non-biased European Egyptologist saying here that Nefertiti allegedly is wearing a wig, a Nubian style wig, instead of just her being a Nubian, and that is her natural hair to match the hairstyle of her people? But you know, we won't go to. Let's just assume that these people are right and exact. They don't want to have that conversation. You know, so this is what I mean. We can accept everything that you say about your argument. You're still going to lose.
Yeah, you're on a continent. It's just amazing how they used all the terms to kind of remove Egypt out of Africa. It's crazy, right?
Exactly.
And then you know, we always talk about this, how the misstep at the Cairo Symposium was the Black community mischaracterization of what it was really about. You know, what the gains that were actually made. Okay, because you know they always said that Africa was synonymous with Black. It's the dark continent. They all said it was the dark continent, right?
Yeah.
All of a sudden it became the in half continent when they unearthed Egypt, took the sand off of it.
Exactly.
Nah, it ain't the Black continent. It's almost the Black continent. Cut it in half. Hurry up. Cut it in half.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That's why they try to divide it. Sub-Saharan.
Great racism. I can't stand the term. It makes no sense. It's not actually how human populations navigate. There is no Sahara. I mean, there is no sub-Sahara populations were well acquainted with each other. The wares, when I say wares, the pottery that you would later on find on the Nile Valley is in the Sahara. The grave burials, some of the oldest grave burials in West Africa, you'll find them in the quote unquote Nile Valley. The mounds that would later on become mastabas, that would later on become stacked, that would later on become what they call the step pyramids, that will later on become the bent pyramid, that will later on become the pyramids. It's all there. The rock art depicting certain religious things, dealing with the cattle cults. You know, religion comes from the desert. No one can get past that. It ain't coming from the Middle East. The few ornaments you get from the Middle East is not enough to substantiate anything. And anybody trying to push that is with the old guard, the old racists, the old race science people. This is easy work for us. Like you said, we can attack from any angle we want.
Exactly. The evidence is always going to be on our side. And it's not like, see, what they keep thinking is that you know, we're trying to say that like, you know, a good number of the people who are there are not descendants of ancient Egyptians. You can be a descendant of an ancient Egyptian, But then we have to qualify that, because ancient Egypt was a multicultural society.
Facts.
And we have evidence of people who were coming in from the Levant in Europe and becoming citizens of ancient Egypt.
Facts.
So you can technically, like my great grandchildren, if we're still here in the United States, you know, would be you know, in terms of this generation, you know, me and my brothers and my mom and uncles and all them, their ancestors, you know, they would be descendants of, you know, us, of the enslaved Africans. But you know, who knows what your children's children are going to do in terms of marriage. And so, you know, with more people, and you know, this will be a little bit political for some, but we always we have to consider this in terms of moving and advancing the culture and stuff forward. So, you know, some of them going to be thinking that, you know, certain people from other communities are beautiful and worth marrying, and then they have children with them, and if their children continue to have children with other children, if you know what I mean, then the phenotype begins to change in the population. And you even see that with African Americans now. The only reason why we have such a high concentration of these quote unquote Black African features is because of the political policies that were put in place here in the United States, which one, forbid Africans and Europeans from dating and marrying each other for such a long time. And then two, we have a high concentration of being forced into ghettos. And so we were forced to only marry with each other. So we were able to keep for a very long time, even though we have, you know, upwards to on average 30% European DNA because of European white men who just couldn't keep them hands to themselves and raping our women and during the times of slavery. But outside of that, you know, for the most part, you can tell like who's an African American and who is not. With the, of course, there's outliers of people who can pass. And so when you have a situation like this, it's kind of hard to fathom, you know, what was going on in ancient Egypt, when in fact they did not have such ghetto policies. Ghetto meaning that you are forcing people to remain as a group in a certain area. They don't have apartheid type laws preventing each other from marrying each other. So, you know, a Black ancient Egyptian see a fine, you know, Jewish woman is like, look, you know, come over here by the hut, and you know, saying I got Netflix, we can chill, and you know, it is what it is. You got all these situations where the pharaohs are marrying and got concubines from all kinds of people from the Middle East, you know, and that changes the population dynamic. So they can have, you know, individuals who are genuinely descendants of ancient Egyptians from the um genetic standpoint, in terms of the founding population, and just from a geopolitical standpoint. So even if, for example, a gang of, you know, Levantine people came into Egypt, they became citizens, and their children, you know, were seen as Egyptians because of citizenship, they could still, you know, just marry one another and still keep their genetic, you know, population intact, but they would still technically be ancient Egyptians, even though they are not, you know, descendants of the founder population. And so all of this has to be kept in mind. So this is why we acknowledge this history, but we also look for the culture, because that's ultimately how you identify the people. So that's why this conversation where I'm charging the ancient Egyptians for stealing African culture is very important.
So okay, all right. So you can actually be a genealogical ancestor, all right, but not a genetic ancestor.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so most people don't understand that. That's important to understand. I'm gonna say it again. You can be a genealogical ancestor. You can be somebody's great great grandmother, but you don't show up in the gene pool. Okay, we talk about this all the time. Okay, so if you don't even got that straight in your mind, then you don't understand ancient populations. Another thing I want to say: the Nile River goes through several ecological niches. Okay, and as human populations traverse up and down the river, they go into different ecological zones. All right, simple as that. So if you spend enough time in a certain ecological zone, okay, certain things will change about you. Mother Nature acts for that. People act like the African population in Africa was fully clothed. They was not. Okay, they walking around with just their bottoms on, some of them, and no tops for eons. Okay, so as you traverse down the Nile, you can get to areas where the UVA rays aren't as prevalent as towards the equator. So the people in the southern population are going to be darker than people in the northern population. Okay, not to mention that the population that's there today in Egypt, okay, and you look at them and say, well, they like. I'm telling you that everybody listening to this show right now, look your ass in the mirror. That doesn't mean your ancestors had the same complexion as you did. They could have been whiter than you, right, or darker than you. Color, population, color change over 40 generations. The population's color can change.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so all that it's a bunch of, I'm saying it's a bunch of misinformation like I've never seen before. Supposedly, when we fight for scientific literacy, then we got to apply the science. You can't be scientifically literate, okay, but yet not apply the science. And then overemphasize certain things is not even there. That's not how that's done, yo. I know for me, I'm gonna speak for myself. I rely on the experts. So I've heard nothing from the other side that's relying on experts. A whole bunch of nonsense, a whole bunch of like people act like they don't even know what they reading when they read Wikipedia, man. Wikipedia is a summarization. It's not giving you got to go into the real information to get the whole stuff. It's just amazing how people just make their whole argument off of Wikipedia, man. It's just nonsense, bro. Like, so you're right. And sometimes we just make, or we really made a whole lot of people powerful, like young Pharaoh. But he just fell flat on his face, though.
I mean, eventually, the people who aren't serious over time, it will be apparent, who these people are and the illogic of their arguments and things. And so it was only a matter of time. Like we knew from the get-go that, for example, a young Pharaoh he wasn't gonna last long. And people come out strong, they get popular, and then they fade away. But it's those people who rely on solid information who last the test of time. And so we've seen in this community people come and go. But in the final analysis, when they want real information, who do they come to?
Yeah.
Who do they call on?
Yeah.
And that's the important thing. And so, even still, we have to do a better job at advertising, and presenting the information. And that's something that I hope to change even on my channel, starting this summer, especially when I get back to Philly. And so, so that we can adequately compete in terms of the information. And so, for some reason, pseudos have a lot of time on their hands. They could just sit on the internet all day and do 20 videos about nothing, and they flood the thing because we're trying to do the stuff right. We taking our time and putting some detail in there. They winning because they talking crazy, and people just like controversy. And it's like controversy and sex sells. So like the old adage for the newspapers, if it bleeds, it leads. and that's something that we have to compete with. But I'm up for the challenge. That's not a thing. But I want all the smoke when it comes to the ancient Egyptians and matter of fact, and even this kind of discussion, we kill two birds with one stone, especially those, and I know you're in that camp to some degree, who don't believe there's any connections between West Africans and ancient Egypt. And so it's the conversation is nuanced. So you have certain people who just believe that the entire ancient Egyptians just all marched into West Africa and on some slick stuff like the Hebrew Israelites, and that's something I don't agree with. I do believe that there were some migrations, and I believe that there were some ancient migrations to ancient Egypt. And there's ways that we can argue that as well. And because everybody thinking that ancient Egypt is the origination of a lot of these concepts. It's like, no, Egypt was the Walmart of ancient times. And what I mean by that is, Walmart is like the biggest market in the world for people who want to sell products. Right? Like it has, like, everybody wants to get their stuff into Walmart. And so eventually Walmart becomes known because of their outreach. And it's the same thing with Amazon or whatnot. And there's no way that you're going to have a civilization that large and that popular and then nobody else hear about it, especially if they're going into Africa in places like Chad, in places like Uganda and Ethiopia and Somalia, getting panthers and giraffes and quote unquote pygmies and all of these kind of people and things. They're getting these items, ivory, things like that. And the people who were located there and doing the trade with the Egyptians, they themselves are not going to go up into Egypt themselves and try to get part of that, get into the marketplace. And so it's the same thing that happened, especially in the Levant. People wanted in on the trade, but also, the Levant area in the Middle East, they were constantly finding themselves in droughts and was looking for a safe haven. And they often found it in Egypt. So even the biblical myth alludes to this aspect of their history in terms of Abraham. Joseph. Well, was it Abraham? Abraham. It's been so long.
Yeah, he went to Egypt.
Exactly.
Drought. God couldn't help him over there. Yo, go to Egypt and eat.
Exactly.
Couldn't fix the problem there though. Crazy.
Crazy. And so, yeah. And
so hold on, wait. Whoa. Let's establish this, right?
That so we claiming Walmart. Yes, Walmart was conceived in Africa first, and we were the original Walmarts or Wally Wall. That's exactly what we saying. So Walmart started in Nigeria, and it was co-opted by Europeans, and they stole our Walmart legacy.
Oh man,
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So let's talk about the inner trade for a minute. So for sure, Karma and those southern populations, it was superpowers, and I think we don't get that, and running co-current with what you would call Kemet, which is Kemet in the 11th dynasty. Prior to that, it wasn't even called Kemet. But those southern populations, they were superpower, and they had a devastating. They was filthy rich. Let's get this straight. When you look at the when they unearth certain sites in the areas that they call the Nubian and in the Sudan, they found these graves with massive cattle heads. Do you know how much money that like the Bill Gates? They was like Bill Gates. Filthy rich. They remember they had the exotic goods. So I saw you mentioned the giraffes and just the exotic animals. You know, they made the fly linen. People think the Egyptians, no, the Nubians had the fly linen, you know, the fly shoes. The Nubians was the jewelry. Even when you look on the posters, you know, on the pictures on the walls, you'll see the Nubians with the fly earrings and all that. Fly. You know, the fly, like fly, way flyer than they will ever tell you. I mean, super, not past fly, super fly, filthy rich. Well, how did they get filthy rich? Because they had the connections to the inter-African trade. I mean, unlimited resources, gold, everything you want to know, they had it. That's not a stage joke. Egypt actually had a trade route, I forget the name of the trade route, into Chad. Okay? Like with the pots, Egyptian, you can see it on the trails, the donkey trail caravan into Chad. That's not, I'm not making that up. Okay, the largest migration from West Africa to Egypt. Somebody said, "What's the largest migration out of Africa?" I said, Musa. Hey, about 100,000. He had a small army went with him, enslaved. They left West Africa, ended up in Egypt, and went to Mecca. That's a lot of people did that.
Exactly.
So maybe they were just waiting for the Arabs to show them. See, this is the joke, right? You only can do it if the Arabs come. See, I'm not in that camp. Never was in that camp, right? Verified and proven that Musa took he built baths in the desert. Read the work by Hoffman. They did all that. He did all that. Noted to be the richest person on planet Earth ever. Where you think he got the money from? So I mean, you know, I think actually in the conversation, we big up Kemet so much, and I want to use the name Kemet because that's what academia is pushing for now. Like the whole Egypt thing throw you off some way. Egypt is the shit that you see in movies with the white people playing it. That's Egypt. And they joked us about Kemet, but now that is a legitimate name. And yes, we'll use that, and we'll use Nile Valley. We're not using Mediterranean nothing. Asia, we're not doing that.
Me about the whole Mediterranean, anybody trying to make a Mediterranean argument. So you have even was it Herodotus? One of the Greek writers is the one who coined that phrase.
Oh, that's Leo Africanus coined that. He was the writer. He was the only one doing it. Only one writing during that time on that. He did that.
What I'm talking about is saying who made the statement that Egypt is the gift of the Nile.
Oh, okay.
Right.
All right.
So everybody acknowledges that Egypt was Egypt because of the Nile River, but then they want to talk about is Mediterranean in culture. How? What on the Mediterranean trickled down through the Delta, especially in pre-dynastic times when this was all swamp?
They had the swamp buggies, yo. What you talking about?
You know, it's all swamp. But how is it no one ever says that ancient Egypt was the gift of the Mediterranean Sea? Never. It's always the gift of the Nile. And that's because it's the Nile, everything coming down and trickling down the Nile that gives ancient Egypt its salience and its symmetry. And it's what allowed them to steal African culture in the first place. You know.
I'm trying to find a map real quick.
All right.
I'm actually in Christopher Eric's work. I got the book right here. Civilizations of Africa. Chapter 1, he also talks about the I think section 4.
Did he ever I hate to cut you off, but did he ever update that book? Because I know when I talked to him last, he said that he was updating that book, and that was some years ago. So what's the copyright date on that text?
Let me see. Let me check. Let me see. I don't know why people don't watch his lectures, yo. You be saying the same shit we saying. Let me see. Copyright date on this is 2016, second edition, 2016.
Yeah. All right. So yeah, he did update it. All right. Go ahead.
So
I need to get that version.
So we got a map. All right. Hold on. Let me find. I got the one map on map 3. For everybody that got the book.
You sharing your screen or you?
No, I ain't sharing my screen.
Okay.
All right, hold on. You know we got the stuff. We only got to hide it. You know what's funny? Real quick while I'm looking for the map. Even if we played, I know you don't exactly agree with the Afro-Asiatic, but the Afro-Asiatic kills them dead. Kenya, right? That could be a source for Afro-Asiatic.
That's why Dr. Kita likes it. Me and him go at it all the time over Afro-Asiatic, but one of the reasons why he adheres to it is because of, if it is a correct hypothesis, the evidence shows that it can only originate in Africa, in quote unquote sub-Saharan Africa. And that has major implications for many other different things. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, but that's deep right there. So now you got people speaking a homegrown African language, which what is it? 6 branches, only one is the Semitic, correct?
Yeah, so, all the ones can only be found in Africa itself. Yeah, so what happens is there's a principle in biology when they want to try to find the source of a species, they look for they adhere to this principle called the most diversity and least moves. Like, where is the place where you find the most diversity of a species that has not moved and migrated very far? And that's going to be more than likely the Urhamat, or the origin source of that particular genetic population or genetic species. And so that concept was borrowed into linguistics, and so they say the same thing. So how you have the most diversity of Afro-Asiatic in Africa and the least moves, meaning they didn't move anywhere outside of Africa, only allegedly the Semitic. And but I argue, and matter of fact, Christopher Eric now argues this, that Semitic actually was birthed in the Levant, outside of Africa proper. And so it wasn't even born, even though it has allegedly some relations with the African languages. But
you talking about Semitic? Yeah, Semitic.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So watch this. We come to map 2. Okay, so when geologists talk about Mediterranean, they actually talk about the vegetation. So when you come to map 3, climate and vegetation in Africa from 15,500 to 9,500 BCE. It gives you the rainforest in Africa, right? It has the map mapped out. It gives you savanna. It gives you the steppes. It gives you the desert. It gives you the Mediterranean, and it gives you the tropical montane. Okay, so watch this. So at 15,500 to 9,500 BCE, the Mediterranean is just barely over where Morocco is. Barely. That vegetation is barely right there, because the desertification has occurred, right? But when you move map 5, climate and vegetation, then you see the Mediterranean. It takes up there's small desert area, right? But it takes up a lot of the Sahara, and it splits. Let me see. I would say maybe it damn near splits it in half, the valley. Okay, so your Mediterranean vegetation is moving back and forth based off of climate change. The desert is moving back and forth. The earth is not a fixed place. Ice ages come in, cause populations to move, and we know the event that caused the Green Sahara. What that did. Matter of fact, I argue in my upcoming book, right, that the origins of civilization is in the damn Green Sahara. Right. So let's knock that off. Let's get off that. So that whole Mesopotamia thing going back and forth. No, we need to realize that there's enough in the Sahara now, based off of a couple people's work, that got things out of Sahara. They've categorized a lot of different rock arts. And like one of my favorite places y'all can look is the Cave of Beasts. All right, or the Cave of Swimmers. I believe that's in Western Egypt. All right, in that area. So what I've learned, Sarnetta, I mean, my fault, Asar, during this whole conversation, is most Black people talking about Egypt are river-centric. Like they only see people near the river. They don't think about all the surrounding areas. Like that's Egypt too. See, so if we start identifying these archaeological sites away from the river, then we got a whole nother conversation. So I just wanted to make those couple points right there, man, to kind of really just make that get away from the damn river sometimes. Stop being river-centric. There's more people living in those surrounding areas, right? Okay, yeah, the river's a nice place to be. Okay, maybe. But there are plenty of populations outside of the river, and they got the archaeological sites. So I just wanted to make that point.
Now, I'm the kind of person who argues that the source of civilization is actually, I'm gonna go with Dr. Ben on this one, and it's the Great Lakes region. And there's many.
You say
There's many
civilization or
lines.
humans? What you saying?
Well, humans in general, but in
Oh,
terms
I'm
of
gonna give you
recent,
that, South Africa. I'm gonna
well,
say South
no.
Africa.
I'm talking about more in terms of the culture, like that became, for example, ancient Egypt. And the reason why is because a lot of the vocabulary and concepts originate in tropical environments. And it shows migrations from tropical environments. And even the now to what degree the in terms of dates, I have to re-up on that. But
Yeah, I
even
need some
Dr.
dates.
Keita, when he talks about when he can remember, he's one of those people that actually did the primary research and measured the skulls and body limb proportions, and he talks about the tropical
Serious,
limb
man.
proportions.
Yeah, he's
These
serious.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they be trying to play with Samantha Key. He's serious.
Exactly.
Yeah, I mean, I know. I mean, he's serious. Like, you remember when you first shared this video about 10 years ago? You know what I'm talking about, right? And yeah, 10 years ago, man, he was doing a lecture at Cambridge, I believe, man.
All right, yeah.
And he was trying to tell the people that, it's more than one way to look African. They was arguing with it. Like, wait a minute. I think it was a Jamaican guy. He was trying to argue with him. But he was like, man, come on, man.
like they can't even fathom, racism is so ingrained in their head that they couldn't even grasp their head around this idea of the multiple ways of being African. And so it just messed up their whole evening. Yeah, I remember that.
That video messed up my whole evening 10 years ago. I had to reframe. I had to read. I was like, huh? I'll get out of here. It was like, you like, come on, yo, that's serious work, yo. You actually introduced me to him. You were like, man, because you was at that point about 10 years ago, you was trying, you was getting me away from, not get me away, but you was showing me, yo, that the doorway was Dr. Ben and Diop's and them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But to get to what I'm trying to get to, yo, you gotta do this.
Exactly.
Yep. You like, yo, you're gonna have to expand, right? I was coming out of the when me and Seti was real tight, and we had we just had a certain type of information. And you was like, you said, but that's you trying to get to the level. You said, but that's not it. You gotta expand. You were like, yo, you can read some white authors,
Yeah, exactly. But it's more so important to know the science and the methods behind the research.
Facts.
Because regardless of what the phenotype is of the author, you have a better chance of evaluating the information if you understand that. And that's what I push. I used to push authors like in my early days, but I stopped doing that and I started pushing methods, because it doesn't matter who the author is. If you don't understand the methodology behind the science, then you can get duped no matter what.
Facts.
And that's what you want to avoid. And so like our good brother Black Lion Supreme says, our direct ancestors are from West Africa, but that doesn't mean we don't have indirect ancestors from all over Africa. And this is something that I mean by we have to be careful about our wording, because you know, when you say West Africa, you got to understand that African Americans not only come from places like Senegal, Mali, Cote d'Ivoire, Ghana, Benin, Nigeria, but they also come from places like Cameroon, Angola, and also and that's Central Africa. That's not West Africa. And then also in Southeast Africa, and that includes Madagascar and Mozambique. And so you got to understand the relationships between these histories and how people got into these particular areas. There are people in the Congo that don't originate in the Congo, that they come from. Like when you talk about the Azande people, the Zande people are in the Republic of Congo, but they do not originate there. They come from Sudan. And there's also, for example, the Mangbetu in Congo. They also come from Sudan and in Egypt and things of that nature. And you have other folks who migrated. See, this is why it's important to understand that research in terms of the trade going into Chad, because Chad is one of the dispersal routes for which you get these people coming from Egypt and the Sudan into places like Central Africa and places like Nigeria and things. And so, matter of fact, I'm gonna share my screen real quick, and hopefully
people should take a ruler and get a map with a grid on it, like, and measure the distance. You know how we learned that in school? And then and start measuring distances, and then you're gonna realize you've been duped.
Exactly. It's far. Like, people don't understand, like, our ancestors in the United States walked as far as Canada from Alabama, Georgia, Louisiana, Texas. Walked. No donkeys. They ain't on horses, for their freedom. And you know, the how should I say, the motivations were a little different in terms of freedom, but they would do the same thing for economic opportunities and or to escape war and or to escape droughts and other natural disasters. Like, all of these are motivating factors for why people migrate in these long distances. So they didn't have planes, and they could have stopped, caught a boat, you know, to a certain degree in certain areas and continue walking, you know, for, like, there's so many different things that could have happened, and that did happen. But, you know, people acting like African people don't travel, and it's like, you know, only when Europeans and Arabs come into the picture did we gain the ability to walk long distances.
Yeah, they got the thing on around our neck to shock you if you go too far.
Exactly.
Native Americans can walk all the way from California. They got trails. Y'all know they got trails that extend all the way from California all the way to like well, what you would call New York now. They had trails all over the place. That's before Europeans came. So
Mhm.
I just, just a little bulletin. Homo sapiens sapien literally walked around the globe, literally.
Exactly.
All right. So matter of fact, we're made to walk. Matter of fact, that's our advantage in hunting animals. Because we can walk and run long distances where animals can't do that. They run out, they bust their heart trying to get away from humans. You can literally walk them down. You can, to hunt you 3, 4, 5 days tracking them. You constantly on the move. Where you wrestle a little bit, you can go longer than any animal can. You might not be the
Mhm.
fastest, but you definitely walk a nigga down.
Exactly. Matter of fact, that was the advantage of the Homo sapiens sapiens is our ability to run long distances and walk long distances versus other animals. Now they got the advantage in terms of the bite,
Facts.
but eventually we can tire them out and keep going, especially when you have like low body mass, like
Yeah.
the Kenyans
Mm-hmm.
who be running them long distances. Like they on a weekend, they just run from Kenya to Sudan and back, in preparing for the damn Olympics. They be like, Africans don't run. I'm like, get out of here with the
That's
BS.
crazy.
I'm trying to find this damn because I forgot, I got so many damn presentations. I'm trying to remember what presentations I have this stuff in. Nope, that's not it. Because you got to show these things. Like if you don't show these artifacts, people think you crazy in terms of these migrations of African people. And so let me do this. I just got to do a search because it's a specific one that I'm looking for. Let me see, Sudan.
Man, you can actually go coast to coast and hiking trails, yo. The American Discovery Trail is a system of recreational trails and roads which collectively form a coast to coast hiking and biking trail across the mid tier of the United States. Horses can also be ridden on most of these trails.
Like people don't know American history. People know that the like when you talk about the Trail of Tears coming out of Florida, like whole populations migrated from Florida to places like Oklahoma and things. And so like this is very important when you're talking about like when you go into places like Florida. There's whole areas that were populated by African groups and Native American groups that are no longer populated there because they were forced out in the Trail of Tears, and they walked from Florida to places like Oklahoma and New Mexico, right? And even the top portions of Texas. And so when you find, this is why DNA studies is at this stage virtually worthless, because you can have a founder population like the original group could move out and migrate out in large numbers, and another group comes on top of that layer and distorts the continuity of a particular site. And so this is what you have in certain parts of ancient Egypt. Like whole populations have migrated out. And you have other people coming in, resettling in settlement, in old settlements. And that distorts the conversation. And that's something that you always have to consider when you're having these conversations about ancient Egypt, and migrations as well. And even when you're talking about West Africa, people think that just because people in West Africa are there now that they always been there in those locations. No, that's not how this works. And that's why
Experts don't try to run that though, yo. You hear layman's on the outskirts of the article. The experts will tell you, don't use this. That's the funniest. Do not use this to be the whole population of Egypt. And everybody ran into it. It's the most craziest thing I've heard in my life.
Exactly.
Experts say don't do it. Oh man, the internet exploded.
Yeah,
exploded.
They sensationalize the topics, and then see, that's just the thing, is it'd be so hard to combat that, because again, pseudos have all the time in the world to have conversations, and they'll make 20 different videos about something, and then flood the algorithms, to get the numbers up, flood the net with those posts, so that when people are searching for the right and exact information, they come across the pseudo information first. And then, if they're so lucky to make certain discoveries in terms of like the original work and actually read it, then maybe they will come across that the real information. But hold on, what am I trying to, this is not, dang it, what was the title of that damn presentation I did? This is a damn shame. I'll find it. Is it the West Africa part 2? Did I do? I might just not find it. Nope. I'll just have to find it later. I can't. Egypt as a Bantu. What's it? Egypt as a Bantu civilization. It's a certain.
So, question: when you use the word Bantu, mean people, right? What are you saying? So most people say, okay, well, wait a minute, bro. The Bantu expansion was this. How you doing that?
All righty.
Yeah, I never ever asked you that question. I'm gonna ask you now. Put you on the hot seat. What you talking about? So explain that. Make it make sense.
It's a multiple nuanced response and conversation.
Okay.
Right. So there's the linguistic question in terms of the relationship between ancient Egypt and the Bantu languages. And this is something that, takes, an entire book to explain, in terms of the, what we're calling Bantu languages is actually an extension of the seed language that gave birth to those related languages to it. Bantu is the original language family. And the ancient Egyptian is just it's a Bantu language of a different branch of Bantu. Like the modern, like if you talk about Kikongo and Chiluba and isiZulu and isiXhosa, they form a cluster of what we're calling Bantu languages. But there are other Bantu languages that are a deviation from that original cluster. And so it's kind of hard to explain without going through all the steps and demonstrating it. But to keep it short, that's one aspect of the conversation. Two, the second aspect of this is that because of the relationship of ancient Egyptian language and culture to the Bantu cultures, this is why, for example, Serge Sonaron made the argument. He's a European Egyptologist. He was present at the 1974 UNESCO conference. And, he was the one that Obinga relied on to correct Abdullah when he tried to say that, that Kim doesn't mean black in the Egyptian language. So he was the one that was there. So he wrote a book called The Priest of ancient Egypt, originally in French, but there is an English version. And so at the beginning of the text, he talks about, you know, the difference between, he's still kind of, you know, low-key racist, but, you know, a broken clock can be right twice a day, right? He starts off the conversation talking about the difference between Greek philosophy and culture and ancient Egyptian. And what he says is that, you know, you learn more from the study of Bantu philosophy and the writings and philosophy of Ogotameli. Now, you remember Ogotameli is the Dogon elder that was interviewed for like 30 days, and he was giving the information to Marcel Griot. That you learn more about ancient Egyptian philosophy, religion, and culture by studying Bantu philosophy and Dogon than you would anything in Europe, more specifically ancient Egypt. And this is because both of those traditions, in terms of the ancient Egyptian and even the Dogon, emerges out of the same linguistic and cultural family that Theophilo Benga calls Negro Egyptian, that I call Chiena Intu, right? So that's the model and framework that we're working from. And we understand that Bantu is actually the seed culture that gives birth to all of these related concepts and things. So that's on one. And then the ancient Egyptians called themselves Bantu. Now, not Bantu in the literal pronunciation that we're familiar with, but the whole one of the reasons why we're even on the net arguing with Queen X on this subject is because he don't believe that the Egyptians call themselves Remech.
The people,
right? And the Remech, that word Remech itself is a dialectical variation of the word Bantu. And so there's a way that you can demonstrate that fact. And so it's one of those where, you know, looks can be deceiving. And matter of fact, let me see something here. Worship of gods, Egyptian Niger Congo, no, happy language recovery warfare. So what was the, did I do on the voodoo? Nah. Hold on, because it's a specific map that I created, and I recently did it, showing you, for example, that the very word Remech, which later in Coptic it was called Romi or Lomi, that you only find this word for human being, for person, for male, for husband, etc., in quote unquote sub-Saharan Africa. You don't find it amongst Berbers. You don't find it amongst the Semitic speaking people. It only exists in quote unquote sub-Saharan Africa. And matter of fact, I think I may even have it up already. So matter of fact, let me share my screen. So I'm gonna share my screen, full screen, right? So this is a map that I created in the area. So the ancient Egyptians call themselves Remech. That ch in terms of, you know, that Remech, that's a suffix that is attached to an original RM root. And so in Coptic, you know, one variation of the word is Romi, right? So this is how you would see it in the hieroglyphs. But this word, you find these variations, for example, among the Nuer as Ram, among the Dinka as Ran and Lan, Among the Afar is Numu or Num. Among the Beha is Raba. And even the word Oromo is cognate with the word Remech. Matter of fact, they're one of the few groups who like the ancient Egyptians, their very name is the word for human being, for people. And matter of fact, in their language, they use the word to mean free people. Right? So these Oromo are the Remech, literally. And in Somali, it's Lab, kind of closer to the Beha, Raba. And then you get over here in the Central Africa is Mulume, Num, Lome, Inlume, Maome, Inom, Lo, Onomo. And then you get over here into Cote d'Ivoire, and in the Mande area is Reme or Reme, Leme, Leme. And then among the Dogon, excuse me, this is Dogon. It's Nomo or Dime. All of you see, this is one of those things like I would use to show that the ancient Egyptians stole African culture, because they even stole the name for themselves from these African people. Because it's not a Berber word, it is not a Semitic word. You find it in Sumerian, but you know my argument for why you would find it in Sumerian. Right? So outside of Sumerian, because we argue that these folks came into the Middle East, is how we get Semitic and the Sumerian languages, these Negro Egyptian China Intu speakers. The very name, these are variations of the word into. And so that the root of the word is the R, right? The M is a suffix, but the M is either suffix or prefixed. So just like it's an old fossilization. So like this word mulume in Chiluba right here, right? The M, the me in mulume or the is a suffix version of the very mu that is now prefixed in the language. So it was fossilized in more ancient times, and they reconstituted the grammatical affix, and now it is prefixed in modern Bantu, mu, right? And so that lu is just a variation of to, as in into. And I go through the whole proof to demonstrate this fact. So when you say Ramech and Rome, this is just a dialectical variation of what became into, because that M becomes in a lot of the language. So it's M2, Ram2, Lun2. And so this is why the linguistic stuff is important, because now you can demonstrate how these white ancient Egyptians stole African culture and is misappropriating your West, Central, and in East African cultures. So this is what I'm arguing. We have to start arguing now and force them to demonstrate how you got all these concepts that are found in all of Africa, but y'all ain't related to, ain't had nothing to do with these quote unquote sub-Saharan Africans.
Well, that's out of my scope of study right there, bro. I'm sitting back on the ride on that one.
I'm want all the smoke. This why they avoid me.
I stick to the archaeology. So when you was kind of early, about half an hour early, you was talking about culture coming from, you say the origin of culture in the Great Lakes region, right?
Correct. The origin of the culture is in the Great. Like when you find the Lumumbo bones and all of them, right? You know that very counting system on the Ashango and the Lumumbo bones is the very counting system that became the counting system for ancient Egypt. What we call the twin system.
Well, they had it. Well. I fight for the origin of Homo sapiens sapien in South Africa. I've been talking about South Africa archaeology for about 10 years now. 160,000. They know, genetically speaking, that the seed population comes after that ice age at 160,000. And actually, the crucible of culture is in South Africa. So it makes sense moving in that direction. That later on, thousands of years later, right? That pieces of the culture will come that way. Yep. I can get with that. Yep. Not taken away from the Saharian population that joined. So and plus they got a new article out to talk about how as soon as Homo sapiens became Homo sapiens, it split into 3 populations. That's a good one for y'all to read and study up and understand that. Kind of adds credence to certain arguments. So Homo sapiens split. As soon as they hit Homo sapiens, it split. 3 distinct populations. Yeah. So we upgrade our stuff every day. So so I appreciate you, man. Let me on, man.
No
Good
doubt,
parlaying
no doubt.
with you, man. Yeah, you know how we got them. We got them fools surrounded, yo.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's surrounded. Trust me, he gonna keep Wikipedia himself to death, right? It's all good. It's fun for me. You think you like to smoke, man? I love to argue. I'm up for it all day. Yeah, man. Appreciate you, man. Everybody support the channel, man. Subscribe to the Bobby Banger channel, man. Pseudo Killer channel, man. I'm a Raw Squad up, man. I'm out of here, man. Appreciate you, sir.
No doubt. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Peace.
And I'm going to rock out for another, at the most, 15 minutes. It'll be 3 o'clock in the morning on the East Coast. And so I'll just kind of reply to some, I think our good brother Magi and went to sleep or something. But we'll keep the conversation going for another, again, maximum 15 minutes. Let me see. And so this question here by Sharp Spear asks, is Mitzrayim in Kemet and Bantu? Mitzrayim is a Hebrew word, and it's the plural form of a word that kind of means like borders, and it's kind of related to a word that means like fortress or the like, but that's not it comes from the root misri, and it's really kind of like musir or something like that. So like the ziri is like kind of like word for like land or 2 shores, and the m is a kind of a prefix of place, and when you add the ayam to it, it is a suffix of plurality, and in some cases duality. So now, as far as I've never investigated if we can find a cognate for the root of that word in Bantu languages, and that would be a good research project. So I can't answer that fully, but to say yes or no in terms of Bantu. And I'm not sure if it's native to the ancient Egyptian language itself, but Mitzrayim is a Semitic word, and I'm not sure how it came into the lexicon. Was it with the Hebrews first or some other group? And so I'm pretty sure that you could find that easily, online. And you see, Tony says the Oromo is Remech. God dim, the Egyptians stole from the Egyptians. You're not making any sense. Let me see. He says source the name. What are you talking about? That Rome and Remech. And that's so basic that you can look that up yourself. And if you was here at the beginning of the conversation, for example, like I showed an article from Ibrahim Abid El Sattar on remarks of the orthography of the word Remech in the Old Kingdom. And so you can see the variations in the Old Kingdom of the word Remech. And then of course you can get any old good Coptic dictionary. So let's do that. So let me go and find one of my dictionaries, because I always got on hand. I'm ready for all the smoke. So would I keep it in here or would I keep it in? Let me just do this. Let me do an etymological. Let me see if I can find an etymological dictionary. So boom. So we can have Coptic etymological dictionary. And so let's scroll all the way down to the R. So here's, for those who can't read Coptic, so I think this will start with the A. So it would be further down. Rosh, what did what page? Oh, let me go back. I done went past it. And you can see like the hieroglyphs on the side as well, for the etymological dictionary. So let's go further. No, that's a zodiac sign. This is a temple. This is Ran. That's a word for name. And this is interesting. Free person. Domestic kind of ship. Renpet. And there's Rompe. That's the word for year. Great man. So here's the word remech, and here's Ramaels. Here's different variations. Here, let's go back a little further up. Here we go. And so for those of you who can't see, here's the word remech, and this is Rome. So you have to kind of be able to read the Coptic. So this is Rome. Man, human being. This is the hieroglyphic form. Remech, man. Remet, man. And then you see these other variations here. Remet, retu, Rome in Kimi, Egyptian. This is the word for Kimi or Kemet or Kamom. And so you see this variation here, but this is one source where you can see that the word Rome, and this is Romeo, a rich man. And so it's kind of the combination of Remech and which is a great man. This is Ar, which is really Zalu, but that's neither here nor there. But if you are looking for a source, you can find it, Remech, starting on page 137 in the etymological dictionary of Cherney. So J. Cherney's Coptic Etymological Dictionary. So I could end the sharing of that. So let's continue on. He says, too many theories, but not enough peer review. Only someone who is not studied enough would say that. You need to read more. You see, then you included Neanderthals, and they were pale skinned, and when they mated with modern humans, they also passed on the pale skin gene. So, are you a descendant of Neanderthals? I guess you're having a different conversation in the chat. Let me see who said he's not quoting peer review. Exactly. What do you think about the two cradle theory of Shek Antidote? I think it had potential, but I don't think it is a model that is capable of explaining thoroughly the differences between European peoples and African peoples in general. And I'm actually working on the text which modifies that and includes the concept of the culture of honor into the mix. And the book is tentatively titled "The Religious Proselytization as a Form of Violence," and then subtitled "The Violation of the African Principles Simultaneous Validity." So it's a long title, but in that work, I discussed the weaknesses of the Shekinah-Job's two cradle theory in terms of trying to explain the differences between the emergence of European cultures and African cultures. He says, what is it? I remember 30 years ago seeing a documentary from Africa where the British narrator said the Egyptians said themselves that they came from the South. And I don't know if there's an actual text that says we come from the South, but there's other evidence which indirectly states so. And of course, the archaeology bears this out. And not only that, the Bible even says this concerning the ancient Egyptians, that they came from the South. And that's something that I discuss, quite frequently. Say, Hank, what do you think? Sorry. I don't know. Here, Flicks, Basil Davidson, good morning. That's just you right here. Link to Bobby channel. Also, what books can I read to learn more about the Nubians? There's a number of texts, and I just can't think of. I know Dr. Solange Ashby, dealing with the women of Nubia primarily. She has a new book out on that. There's plenty of texts on Nubia. Let me see if I can pull up something real quick to help you, because I know like I got works on. There's a book called The Nubian Past, an Archaeology of Sudan, that you can get. And let me see. There's a daily life of the Nubians. Let me see. Nubian. There's no cover here, but there's that. And I'm sorry, let me just find one more for you. Oh, no, that's not good. That's an article. Nope, I gotta go down. Nope. Let me hold on. And I'm trying to find this one text. No, darn it, why do I keep getting this one? Because of course I got mad text, but of course there's always Wretched Kush. And who's this text? Nope. Not the book that I was looking for, but so I got a lot of stuff on erotic, and that's a different thing altogether. And so, but I'll just share what I have up for right now. And why can't I find this one freaking text? Not ancient Egypt and the Levant. I'm sorry. I'm trying to find this one text, and I forgot what the title of it was. Of course, there's the wonderful Ethiopians in the ancient Kushite Empire, but that's kind of dated. So I want to get you some up-to-date stuff. Ethiopia, Eritrea. No, I can't find. I might have it in another folder in terms of the name. So I do apologize for you know. So this is what I'll do. I'm gonna share my screen again, and so this right, and so at least 3 books I can recommend for you. So here's one, The Nubian Past, an Archaeology of Sudan. So this is by David N. Edwards, right? Then you have The Daily Life of the Nubians, Robert Stephen Bianchi. So if you're writing these names down, and notice the book cover photo from the Ramesses III tomb, right? And then Nubian pharaohs and Meroitic kings, the kingdom of Kush, and and then I have a whole bunch of texts on Meroitic that includes that as well. So, hopefully that helps you and gets you started. So let me see. I haven't seen it over 30 years. Always stuck with me. I always wonder what the islands just exactly. So yeah, y'all having your own conversation and debate. He says, Ma says, were the Kikuki speakers Africans? Initially, yes, but the Kikuki speakers are the first branch of the Negro Egyptian speakers that moved into what we call the Levant in the Middle East. And, it is the interaction between the Kikuki speakers and the, let me see if I can find my map for you all. So people will know exactly what it is that you're talking about. As far as the grouping of the languages is concerned. And let me do what the lecture says in Niger Congo. Let me go back on the Kemet in the Congo. No, hold on. Was it linguistics? Nope. So I got so many presentations and things that it's hard to remember exactly where I have certain slides and arguments to send to y'all right on the fly, or to show y'all at least right on the fly. Maybe this one will have it. And nope, I don't have it in this one, which is surprising because this will be the perfect conversation to have that argument. So I do apologize. Let me see. Language 2022. Nope, not there. So let me. Darn it. Where do I have that damn lecture? So y'all making me go into the archives of certain conversations. And so Mandela, no. How am I missing this damn folder? No, that's the Kemet debate. So I got to get better at maybe it's in here. See, I don't have the up-to-date one in here. Actually, I do. So now I'm gonna share my screen again. So boom. So here for those who don't understand the question, he's talking about the Negro Egyptian breakdown in terms of the language family. So this is the updated model from Mboli. And I changed the name of Negro Egyptian to Chiena Intu, or my recreation of it. But where I have Chiena Intu, he'll have Negro Egyptian. And so you can see the three branches from the parent, the Negro Egyptian archaic. So branch 1, branch 2, and branch 3. And so you had the Kikwe group coming from branch 1, and then from branch 2, the Kweki group. And then you have branch 3, the Kikuki group. So that's where he gets that name from, the Kikuki. And so as you can see, in Africa, the Kikuki group was interacting slightly with the Chiena Intu group, or the Negro Egyptian, or post-classic Negro Egyptian, using the label that Mboli used. And then it's the interaction of the Bere and Beher dialects, and the interaction. So the Kikuki group, after interacting with the post-classic, became what he calls the Kabed group. And so that's this group here. And it's the interaction between the Kikuki group and the post-classic Negro Egyptian and Bantu that you actually get pre-Proto-Semitic and Proto-Semitic. So hopefully you can see on this chart, he's supposed to be releasing the book within the next year of his analysis of Negro Egyptian and the formation of Semitic and Proto-Indo-European. So it's a book that I can't wait to be published and for it to be released. But this is the text. This is the updated model that you see here. And so this is my post-classic Chiena Intu breakdown for those who are concerned with that there. So yes, the initial speakers were Africans, but then they interacted with some other folks and evolved later on in the Levant, and interactions in the Levant gave birth to pre-Proto-Semitic and Proto-Semitic after the interactions between the post-classic Negro Egyptians and the Bantu speakers who migrated into Egypt and into the Levant, and then of course went further and became the foundation of Sumerians. So, and I'm over my time limit. There's a text about Imhotep was telling his King Joseph about the problem with the Nile where the ancestral waters originate. Exactly, I can't remember. I think it's the drought. What is it called? The drought stealer. Something along those lines. I know what you're talking about, but I forgot the exact name of what they call it. But it had to deal with the drought. He says Semitic tied to Berber. I don't think so. Supposedly he was made in African Canoe and Aswan. Exactly. How do I? He says, how do I get a comfortable job as a software developer? I'm going to coding boot camp soon. That's a whole conversation. And matter of fact, because when I do mines, I'm independent, so I just do directly to business, directly to small business. But in terms of like getting a gig at a kind of a large coding house, that's something that you can find on the net. There are plenty of people who kind of deal with that in up to date times. And so, I haven't worked at one of those houses in years. So things have changed since then. So I would look on the net in terms of the jobs regarding that. Thanks for all that you do. Sorry. Peace and blessings. Thank you. And I'm kind of 8 minutes over what I said I was going to do, and I won't be able to address every single one of these comments. But I do appreciate you all for hanging with us this late, even though Brother Magi probably went and took an old man nap. And, we will continue this conversation in the near future. So y'all be safe and blessed wherever you are at, and continue the conversation. So with that said, I am out. Alrighty, peace.